Welcome to the LRQA Food Video Podcast Series. In episode 1, Cor Grunveld, LRQA's food thought leader and chairman of the FSSC committee, talks about the increasing harmonisation of food safety standards and schemes, as well as the importance of auditor competency.
Harmonisation of standards in the food supply chain is one of the most important topics. I think we've seen now, when we go 15 years back, that we started, for instance, for food safety, we started with more than 100 standards for food safety management systems. And at the moment, I think we are in a great shape harmonizing it. There are two very important initiatives. I think the Global Food Safety Initiative, that's one of them. They started 10 years ago, and they started to do a benchmark and a review of food safety management standards. And they have now approved 12 standards. And it's still too much, you know. But I think coming from 100 and now going to 12, that's already a big achievement. And I think the number will decrease even in future. The other very good initiative is from ISO. ISO now discovers that there is a need for standardization of food safety standards. And they have now a permanent working group. And that working group started with developing the ISO 22000. But now they are developing also standards for prerequisite programs in the different parts of the supply chain. And we see that the manufacturers and all other stakeholders are appreciating that very much. And I think these two initiatives will help us to drive harmonization of standards. Well, when you have a supplier, and most suppliers supply to more than one client, for instance, when you have a supplier like Cargill, one of the largest suppliers of raw materials, and they supply to more than one customer, like Danone, Nestlé, Kraft, you name them. And if all those clients ask for different standards and different certificates, then they will have a problem, of course, because they have to meet several standards, and sometimes they need to have more than one certificate. And all those certificates and audits duplicating each other. So that is absolutely a high cost of audit and certification in the supply chain. The same for the manufacturers of consumer products. When they supply to the retailers, if the retailers all require their own standard and their own certificate, again, they need to meet more than one requirement. And I think the initiative from the Global Food Safety Initiative is really helping the supply chain to have one certificate that all the retailers and all the manufacturers accept. When you look at our auditors and our approach at audits, not only in the food supply chain, but also in other sectors, we are really training our people to make sure that they have that management system, process-based approach. Our slogan is improving performance and reducing risks. And I think that tells everything. It's not only about looking at a snapshot. It is really looking at what are the objectives of a company, what are the agreements with clients, and what does the organization need to meet those agreements and to make sure that food is on the right quality and is absolutely safe. So I think within LRQA, it is already something we did for a long, long time, and it meets exactly our strategy and also how we like to work together with our clients. Yeah, it's very important to start with the auditor. Because it doesn't matter if you have the best certification scheme in the world, if you have the best standard in the world, the auditor is crucial in the whole process. So first, as a certification body, as LRQA, we have to ensure that the client gets the best auditor. The integrity of the audit, the integrity of the certificate is most important. So a trained auditor who knows audit skills, but also who knows the sector, and that I think is often a weak spot. And we see too often with other companies and other certification bodies that auditors do not have enough knowledge of the sector they are auditing. So making sure that the auditor have that knowledge is crucial. So that is the starting point. The second thing what is important is that the auditor makes sure that he uses the business assurance approach. So really looking at the objectives and strategy and vision of the company, and from there tries to find out where are the real risks. What are the real risks in the organization and the processes, and try to focus on these risks. It has to be a risk-based approach. And that's the only way that an auditor can do an effective audit. And last but not least, always driving improvement. An auditor and the certification has to support the company to drive continuously improvement. And an auditor, again, they can challenge the organization, They will never be the consultant, of course, but they can challenge and support the organization by doing a robust and an in-depth audit. I think these three elements are most important in an added value approach. Talking about trends in the food supply chain, and are mainly related to audits and certification. I think when you look at the food supply chain, they are ready now to harmonize. Manufacturers, retailers, they see the benefits now of a harmonized approach, and they are willing to work together. And I think that is essential, because if they do not want to work together, we never get harmonization. So what we see now is that a standard, an international standard like ISO 22000, is winning very fast. FSSC started in the beginning of this year, and they will have 1,000 certificates at the end of this year already. So you can see how fast they grow. Another thing is that very critical in the food supply chain are suppliers, and especially suppliers in emerging markets. Because when you have countries like Russia, like China, everyone is really focused on food safety, but they have to make sure that the local suppliers are also on the right level, and they still have a long way to go. So the manufacturers and the retailers again are working together now. They have good projects going on, also GFSI, to support those suppliers to reach the level of having a good food safety system and a food safety management system. So I think these are a number of very important trends at the moment.
Thank you for watching the LRQA Business Assurance Food Video Podcast Series. For more information on LRQA Business Assurance Food Services, visit food.lrqa.com.